right, a little video there, a little new holiday video to start the show off. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I feel like I should play it again. I really like that video. Let me play it again. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to play it. Okay, there we go. I don't know how many days I'll be able to play that. What's 7 days from now? The 21st. We could probably get one more show in. Have a solstice show. That'll be cool. I'd like to play that again. That's from Fredericksburg last night. We went to Fredericksburg and took in the lights, the Light Fantastic. It's very German there. And they have their market plots, which they light up, and it's filled with trees. The trees have lights from root to crown, pretty much, and it's it attracts people from all over the place. And it was great. I mean, the weather was really manageable. Like, we barely needed jackets, and today we've got like about a 25-degree drop. So we were able to squeeze it in. And they set up a little miniature ice rink there. You get to watch people do the oval and try to stay upright. And that was fun. And we just got a real, what we got a real kick out of last night was looking at kids. Man, children are so fucking cool when you really watch them. And I don't know if it's these Gen A kids, but I have always, once they started coming on the scene, I always got this really interesting spirit of like playfulness with them. Like they were in on the joke, right? They were in on the joke. Chewing not attractive. All right, let me get my chew on. My producer told me to. I just needed to refresh my oral faculties there. The kids were they were these Gen A kids. Like I said, it's like they're in on the joke. And we were watching them, and they were spontaneous and carefree and just a real absolute joy to watch them with their families. And to see their families, this is what was the cool part. The families were not keeping them on a tight leash. These children were, allowed to be, I wouldn't say rambunctious, but they were allowed to move. And it was fun, even seeing the parents just, keep an eye on their kids and give them permission to kind of run and fall down and pick themselves back up again and tumble with other kids, and it was really great. Just taking advantage of this massive Sagittarian energy that we've had over the last couple of days. And on Thursday we had that Magi star, which of course has been co-opted and is now known as the Star of David. We had that in the sky on Friday, and it was amazing. Like we have this Magi star, we have two mystic rectangles. The cosmos is just lit up with this symbolic presence, right? And a lot of times we just have our noses to the grindstone and our heads to the ground. And when you see something like that as an astrologer just pop up, right, and the planets align so perfectly and so beautifully, to me, it really suggests that there's some other cosmic order. I mean, we talk about it here on a Sunday night, weekly basis. But when you see that, or when I see it, I'll put I in there. You can see it too. And you can put yourself in there if you want. But when I saw that, I thought to myself, there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not wholly aware of. And it may seem really dark, and it may seem like we're on this kind of rudderless ship and we got cat fights. And of course, I'm going to indulge in a cat fight tonight. We're going to kind of dig around the Candace Owens, Erika Kirk cat fight a little bit, astrologically, see if there's anything there. And all that stuff is there. And we just had this, really weird shooting in Australia. Anytime it seems like you want to make a massive change to the paradigm, you go to Australia and you work it out in Australia. We had a big shooting down there with a bunch of apparently Holocaust victims. So the messaging is starting to be broadcast loud and clear now that there is an aggrieved group of people, and it seems like now there are events that are coming back to quote unquote haunt them. How much of that we can believe in, I don't know, because anytime you want to control the so-called 3D reality here, all you have to do is manufacture a somewhat reasonable crisis, and people will generally fall in line. And if they don't, then the media is there to remind them that they have to fall in line. And so with Sagittarius being the spirit of the season, I would urge you in that spirit to look at all things with a philosophical and scholastic eye. Ask yourself, is this the truth? And if it is the truth, then ask to be shown what the truth is. And that's real simple. Real simple. You don't have to go too far out of the lane on either side of that highway. And you're not only will your instincts and your spirit guide you to the truth, but we have so many vehicles that are available to us. Things like, well, the internet for one, and random people, connections that we have, books that we've read, everything. The entire plane is brimming with the artifacts of truth. It's all out there. It's all out there. You just have to open your eyes and see beyond the forms that are given to us. The commonly held narrative, and that's a word I hate. I hate narrative, but the commonly held narrative that's shared with us. All right, let's see who we got. Who's here into his house? We got DJ MC. We got Kabuki Theater. Hey, Bo. Tondar. What's going on, Tondar? Hubert Quiddy One. We got the Chickweed Collective. What's up, Chickweed? Let's see who else we have here. Jackie Delario, the lovely and talented one. She's with us. And Boof. Baby liked that intro. We'll play it again next week. I had another one I was going to do, but that thing last night I was fascinated by it. And it's one of those moments where having a camera on your phone really works. And Boof is driving home from an awesome hike. Nice. Hikes are great. Olivia Provorce also with us tonight. Jack Strom, hey, what's happened? That mysterious fog from last year seems to be happening again in SoCal. I was watching the Niner game today. I could see it was foggy. They had some fog up in Northern California too. Yeah. It reminds me of that movie by John Carpenter, The Fog, which is kind of a bit of a creepy movie. It was a bit of a creepy movie. It was with, of course, Adrienne Barbeau, who John Carpenter was married to for a while. Adrienne Bravo. Let's see. Well, Jack, stay inside. Stay inside and don't eat the yellow snow. Darlene's here. What's up, Darlene? Bill Kell. What's going on, Bill Kell? One Bill Smith. One Bill Smith. Check that. Check that. One Bill Smith. Fire Gods Corp. I like that. Hey, back at you. Misbehaving. Now 2633. Liddy Lou, please pray for mom. She's in the hospital with Ballastron. Uh-oh. We might need surgery. All right, here we go. Let's say a little prayer. Let's say a little prayer for Liddy Lou's mom. She's a gem, 100 years going strong. Let's pray that she sees Christmas Day with all of her loved ones around her, beside her, and wakes up on New Year's Day with a clear mind and a clear heart and a clear head and a clear path for another spin around the sun. That's what we pray for. And we pray for it in the name of Jesus. That's right. In the name and the power of Jesus, we pray for it. And all the other helpers in the invisible world as well. He's not alone. He can't do it all by himself, and neither can you. That's why I'm here. Okay, not in a Jesus sense, but in a, hey, I'm here to help you, right? I ain't heavy. I'm your brother. Peter Bayonne, what's going on, Peter? Nashvillian, just watch my 49ers take care of business with the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, man, we went to this party yesterday. We went to this party. All of our neighbors are like 70 plus 70. except for Melissa, who throws the party. I think Melissa's a couple years older than me and Joan, maybe maybe 2 years older, 1 or 2. I don't know. We're in the same zip code, literally and figuratively. But everybody else at the party was like fucking in their 70s, like late 70s. One guy was in his 80s, right? So we're over there hanging out with these people yesterday. So we decided to go to HEB and get some blingaroo. I got myself a cowboy Santa hat with a dangle ball on the side. I wore that, and Joan wore little cat ornaments. So it was fun. It was fun hanging out with the old timers. I got in trouble last year. They told me to leave my politics at home, so I did. I kept it very, very PG. I wasn't being offensive. Kind of PC, but mostly PG. But it was fun. It was a good time. Let's see. Yeah, prayers out for Liddy Lou's mama. Christine Foos, what's happening? Let's see. Sedona Angel. Yep, sending those good vibes toward Liddy Lou's mama. They're bringing the magic back. Let's bring back magic. We need more magic. It's like trust the science. Trust the science. Science is so fucking boring, right? We have replaced magic with science, and not in a really good way. Like at a certain point, science and magic were kind of the same thing. But now it's like, oh, take this pill. It's magical. Yeah, it's magical, but it's got about 25 side effects that will make me worse than I was before I started taking this magical pill. We need more magic. That's the challenge with the world. We need more magic. We came in and we had the scientists basically turn us over and, Roger most of humanity during COVID. That's how much we trusted it. And now look what's happened. It is the gift that keeps on giving, and not in a good way. And the whole science thing, just in general, it's like now the new science is going to be AI. We're going to trust the AI. Ooh. Hey, we got a thumbs up over on Facebook. Whoever is over there on Facebook watching, we salute you. Let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, we got Tom Jordan in the house. How about that? Charles, U7G4. Hey, folks, bills are magical. Charlie, your name is getting more abstract every week. I kind of like it. It's like those letters you cut out from magazines and shit. Like how the serial killers would spell things in those letters. Your name is kind of like that in some ways, but I like it. If there was a handle, that would be it right there. Tinfoil Tiara, Thursday was awesome. Good. The energy was incredible. Really incredible. Daniel K. Lyris. Aloha from New York. It's Diane. Hi, Diane. Dead Wolf Resistance. Hey, man, it's more like, what isn't going on behind the scenes? There are forces that want to enslave us and take us back into the 19th century, while the rest of them are in the 22nd century, which is really what it comes down to. And they only need, a select few to bring them along for their journey, for their entertainment and sexual purposes, until they get tired of humans and they perfect their sex bots and try to live forever. But it's not going to work. It won't work. The consolidation of the entirety of the Earth's resources is just not manageable. Can't do it. You can have 5, 6 corporations. They can all sit on each other's boards, and they can play with their social security numbers and their City of London assignations, and they still won't own it all. They still won't own it all. People talk about sovereignty, which is a really good topic to broach under Sagittarius. And there is something to it. There is something to being a sovereign. I'm not sure if it's all about filing the paperwork and getting your name removed from the capital letter system, but there's something to it, and there's something about what you do in this lifetime in terms of sovereignty, which catapults and determines where you're going after this. If there's a thing that you want to accomplish somehow, some way here, is to know who you are when you leave. That is not always a given, by the way. And even if it is, there's plenty of distractions that can help you make the wrong turn, as they say. So the whole idea of being sovereign is a very Sagittarian concept. Speaking of Sagittarius, did you guys see who started for the Indianapolis? Remember, I think this week I did the Colts as one of the stars of the day, or did the city, the state of Indiana, and the team that plays there, of course, is the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts, under the sign of Sagittarius, signed Sagittarian Philip Rivers. And I'm like, whoa. Philip Rivers has not played a football game since 2020. It's been 5 years since this guy's played any football. And he almost beat the Seattle Seahawks. He threw a touchdown pass. And this guy's a grandfather, okay? He's a grandfather. So I think it's really interesting when we see certain people who come up astrologically during a certain time. Another person who seems to be making the rounds, who happens to be Sagittarius, is Jeff Bridges. And Jeff Bridges is, I believe, on a series of commercials for what's the shitty phone service? It's not, come on. T-Mobile. He's doing these commercials for T-Mobile where he's clearly got this Santa vibe, right? And like they're referring to him, hey, you're not that dude. So there's all this kind of interesting sort of postmodernism slightly going on in this T-Mobile commercial. And they show, and this is Jeff Bridges. He's kind of got this Santa vibe. Of course, he's a Sagittarius. So I love it when the season brings us ample examples of the astrological velocity of our lives. And none could be more, I would say, over the target than Philip Rivers, Mr. Sagittarius, starting. Like, my God, guy hasn't played 5 fucking years. And of course, a team that is named after a cult, which is a Sagittarian symbol, in a state that has Sagittarius as its sun sign, it makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. So they did lose to the Seattle Mariners, however, in Seattle on the last minute, almost the last 15-second field goal by the Seattle kicker. So Rivers will be back next week. He'll be playing the 49ers, where Kyle Shanahan, another Sagittarius, who turned, I believe, 49 today. He turned 49, and the 49ers won on Kyle Shanahan's birthday. So Sagittarius is clearly in the air, and I'm hoping that my website will be done by Tuesday, so the sun will be conjuncting the moon, the Jupiter in my chart, my natal Jupiter. We have a nice little reset for robinphoenix.com. Let's see. I was hoping I would take a look. So you're not the only one who asked me that, Sharon Moore. You maybe I could dial this up. Let me just see this. Tondar is talking about Sharon Moore, who is the football coach for the University of Michigan, who got caught up in a sex scandal. Let me see if I can find. Oh, we got something here. This is interesting. Let's see, we got Sharon Moore. He's an Aquarian. He is an Aquarian. When was he born? Let's see, he's born 1986. Pluto and Scorpio. Let me see if I can do this. As per you, I'm here to take your requests. Let me see if we can dial something up with Sharon Moore. I don't have a birth time for him, but we can see where the planets are. So let me give you guys, if you're not a sports person, Sharon Moore is a coach for the University of Michigan, and that's the football team. And they were moderately successful this year. Moderately successful. But they lost to Ohio State. And he got caught in some kind of a weird, let's just call it a bizarre love triangle. And I'll get into why it's a bizarre love triangle in a minute here. I just want to see this guy's where he was born. Okay, so he was born in Derby, Kansas. All right. Let's do this. Let's do usually when somebody has scandal, it is the moon. So the details are the moon in a particular place. Now I don't have his birth time, but we'll fuck around a little bit here. See what we come up with. So he's married. He's got 3 kids, and he had this thing going on with an assistant, and the assistant just got this last year like a promotion and a bonus and a raise, but something weird happened. Like he lost his shit. I think there was something that happened with the assistant who might have gotten pregnant, and I don't know if she refused to not have the baby. I don't know. It's really murky, but the guy wound up getting arrested for like stalking, and maybe there's some battery charges in there. So he was arrested. Then he was put under like a psychiatric observation. So, and again, this is not uncommon for what happens on college football campuses with coaches. They are around co-eds all the time. And the amount of cheating that goes on, not just with coaches, but with professors as well in colleges, is, it's legendary. All right. Let me see what I can come up with here. What if we did this? What if we did? Hold on. I gotta try to rectify his chart a little bit. Let me do this. Let's do. And this broke, what, a couple days ago? This broke, what, on Thursday, Friday, Wednesday? I think it might have broke on Wednesday. He is a superstellium in Aquarius. And he has, I got to get his rising sign right. Sharon Moore. Okay, I'm going to get him. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rectify his chart. Let's do this. Let's see what we get here. Okay, I think. And then let me do some transits here. So that would have been what, the 11th, roughly. Let's see what we had here. Let's see. All right. I think for this guy's chart, this is something we're going to run into with most of our charts tonight, but with Erika and Candace, it'll be a little different. So this is what I'm looking at with this guy's chart. Let me give you a visual so you can see kind of who I'm talking about. So you don't just have like, oh, it's just a piece of digital paper. So this is the search I did right here. So that is Sharon Moore, charged with a felony home invasion. And his so he's entangled with other scandals. Wife of 10 years made disturbing admission. This is all new. What? Charges man intended to sell over 400 milligrams. What? This is bizarre. He's still in custody. Let me just see this. Oh, man. I got the ad blocker on. We got Detroit Free Press. This is another one. All right, let me do his chart. I just wanted to give you guys a visual. This thing is just completely and utterly. Now, Urban Buyer, we're not seeing. Oh, sorry. This fucking StreamYard. I always have to burn one. That's weird. I apologize. Here, this is Sharon Moore. Thank you for that. Right here. This is the guy we're talking about. There he is with his wife. He's got zero criminal history. This guy's got nothing in his background that would suggest that he would absolutely implode. Moore's wife for 10 years made a 9/11 call to authorities following his firing earlier this week. She said he was suicidal after losing his job, according to dispatch audio. According to our victim here, he did put a knife to his throat and ran out. Wow. So my rising sign might actually be right. How about that? Have for him. Let me just throw this up there. Yeah, that actually makes some weird sense with this chart now. Check this out. Okay, so she just claimed that he stuck a knife to his throat and wanted to commit suicide. I was just playing around. I had him as Taurus rising with Algol close to the ascendant, and he was going to cut his throat. And here's Uranus. See, this is what happens with Uranus, that it's retrograding in his first house, and it's going back towards his ascendant. This guy's done. Like, he's done. He may, within 3 years, might be able to coach as an offensive line assistant for something like Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh hired Sharon Moore at the University of Michigan. And this guy just completely crashed out. Like, he was completely out of control. It was coming out. And there are some people who think that this was a honey trap. That University of Michigan didn't want him as a coach, didn't want to pay him, and were looking for an out. And they had somebody on the side who, this is a theory, it's not my theory, that they had somebody on the side who could compromise him if indeed they believed it was warranted by them, being the board of directors and the alumni, to fire his ass with cause. And so now he's got, and the weird thing is that his wife and this woman that he was this assistant, they were following each other on Instagram all the time. And they knew who each other were. Like, how it would be very difficult for him to hide an affair with his assistant, and his wife seemed to be involved, and maybe she was involved in the mix. Maybe they had something freaky deaky going on. But something happened with not the wife, but the woman, and Sharon Moore lost his mind and went over to her house. I don't know if she wanted to break it off. I don't know what was going on, but he just completely lost his shit. So I went back to Wednesday. I think we're over something here. So we have Pluto conjuncting his midheaven. That's the first thing I would look at. Like, this is a total crash out, total implosion. And this happens all the time. This is interesting because he was a coach, or I believe a player, at the University of Louisville. And Charlie Strong was a coach there. He was the head coach. And Charlie Strong was very successful. And he wound up having an affair with the dean's wife. Okay. True story. And Charlie Strong gets the job at the University of Texas. He's a terrible head coach. He's a good assistant coach, a good mid-major coach, terrible head coach for a big program because he can't deal with really super, super rich boosters and alumni. Can't do it. So he has a rather mundane record at Texas. I don't think he had winning seasons. I don't think his final record was a winning record. And of course, they always find something on somebody to let them go. I forget. I don't think they went full on sex scandal with Charlie, but they could have. I mean, they had that in their back pocket. You know, this whole Louisville thing, and that was with the dean. So Urban Meyer now is chiming in, and Urban Meyer, this is a guy who had to leave the University of Florida because he couldn't keep his pecker in his pocket, and his wife told him he was like at least banging one or not more than one co-eds. Clearly, he had a special one, and his wife found out about it, and she said, "You either retire from coaching, or I am taking you to the cleaners, you son of a bitch." And Urban Meyer retired from coaching. He said he had a heart issue, and I'm sure he did. And I'll never forget the entire day on ESPN was like somebody great had died, because Urban Meyer was at the top of his game, national championships, Heisman winners, and he's retiring from coaching. And they're like, oh my God, just a legend who had to stop coaching before. Now he had to stop coaching because his wife was going to embarrass him and then empty his bank account. So Urban Meyer should just probably keep his little commentary on the down low. This guy had Pluto coming in hot. If this is true, he's got Pluto coming in hot on his midheaven. If it's not true, he's got Pluto conjuncting Vesta, and Vesta's long term. Long term. So Pluto's coming in and crashing on this guy's long-term goals. And he's got a super stellium in Aquarius, and he wants to live by his own rules. I mean, look at that Jupiter sextile Uranus. He's freaky. Like, he's got a freaky thing going on with these two women. I can tell you that's why she's like okay with him. Like, I think she knew what was going on. And she was like, okay, well, as long as we get to stay married and I feel like there was something there. But then I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was part of that bizarre love triangle where he wanted to keep it going. She didn't. There might have been a pregnancy involved. There was the threat of going public. And again, you have to wonder whether or not she was placed there by just as like a safety valve. Hey, let's, high level athletics and university politics is politics, and politics is dirty, and they'll use anything they can on you to get you out of the way. Now they don't have to pay him a big salary. I don't know who they're going to have to go out and get or try to go out and get. But I think it's Pluto. I think it's Pluto on his Vesta, close to his Vesta, meaning it is completely incinerating his long-term goals and plans. But I think this guy was freaky deaky. He's got a Jupiter-Venus conjunction in Aquarius. Hello. Like, the more the merrier. And they're sextiling Uranus in the chart. It's like, come on now. A Uranus sextile to Jupiter and Venus? This guy, his next stop is cult leader with multiple. Sharon, get out of football and just start a cult. Right? Go find something somewhere. Go to India, turn your life around, and bring your wife with you. Seems like she'll be a part of it. And start a cult. You'll be fine. And you just maybe spend a couple of weeks with Jared Leto on his island. Take copious notes. Now, while he may be just fine with his alternative lifestyle, it doesn't always work out that way. Hello, Sun Pluto square. He's going to get his fingers caught in the cookie jar. And what do we have here? We got a Pluto square. So all you early millennials, this guy's born in 86. So what we were talking about, like 85, 80, 84 through 86, 87. All you early millennials, you got the Pluto square going on. Wow. I think it could be very, very good. It could help you completely and utterly rebuild your lives. You may have to pull a lot of it down, maybe take it to the studs, which is what this guy seems to be doing. But what's available could be quite interesting. Now, it's not the only thing going on, but it's your generation, right? I think this first wave of the millennials are kind of looking around, and whether they're in concert with one another, they're saying, okay, where am I as it relates to power? Because they're in their 40s now, right? They're 40, 41, they're starting to hit their 40s. And the 40s are all about Mars. It is the Mars decade, right? It is symbolized by Mars, by Aries, which is the first sign, but the fourth month, right? So you get Mars in the mix there, and it's about power. The 40s are about power. So we're about to see these millennials come into their power. Now, what you do with that power, that's a whole other thing. And that is the Pluto square. Will Pluto, there'll be a test. It'll be a tremendous test. Now, luckily, a lot of the millennials, well, I have to say, it's not a lot of millennials. Most of the millennials have Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn. He doesn't. He does not. So whatever, Pluto is, like, say, in his chart, Pluto is also sextiling Neptune. And for some of you early Uranian in Capricorn millennials, Pluto sextiling your Uranus too. So you don't really have to crash out. You can make adjustments. You can make changes. You can, tack your sails and catch the wind and go in another direction. But this guy just seemed like he was headed for it. He was headed for the crash out. Is there such a thing as too much? I think he probably found out. All right. We looked at that Sun, Saturn, Mercury. Let's go Sun, Saturn, Mercury right there coming down here. Right. We got the Sun squaring Pluto. Look at that. We got Mercury squaring Pluto. Oh, yeah. We got Venus. Venus, not quite. We got two wide squares there. Something we have a Venus square over here going on with Mars. Look at that. And we have a Jupiter square going on. This is too much. That's just in general. What was triggering it all? Well, we go back to the 11th. Here's Mercury, the messenger god, right there. Ding, 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 coming in, right? Coming in hot. And all of this pretty much is, it's weird. It's like he's got these different lives. So up front here, he's got Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. Aquarius seems like a team guy, team player. But behind here, he's got a lot of junk. It's almost like this guy's got two lives. He's got this life, and then he's got this life. And it looks like Mercury coming in combination with the Pluto square. That's happening. And I think, I don't know, I really like this. It's like, I like this rectified ascendant because he took a knife to his throat. It's kind of true in some ways, though. I don't like it because he took a knife to his throat. Don't get me wrong. But he gives some credence to Algol on the ascendant. Like, he didn't stick a gun to his head. He didn't go out to his garage and hook up the hose to his tailpipe. He didn't do that. And then Uranus retrograding, coming back. I don't know. It feels like it works. And he's going to have Saturn, like, over the next, starting next year, it starts to go into his 12th house. For somebody like this, it kind of makes sense. I'd love to know this guy's birth time. I think it'd be a real interesting find if we could find that out. Yeah, and I think sometimes you get bizarre love triangles with Gemini in the first or Gemini in the seventh. Here we have the multitude of Sagittarius. And there's something here with Saturn also that if you kind of break the code of Saturn in the seventh house, there are consequences. Faith, commitment. Now, could he have commitment to two people other than himself who have agreed upon the terms and conditions and they're relating? Sure. Absolutely. But you may want to think twice about it if you're the college of a major university and a university that has had some history of firing people. Like, short leash up there at the University of Michigan. The alumni, they want to beat Ohio State and they want to be in that championship game. And by the way, Jim Harbaugh left that school in a mess, which is what Jim Harbaugh does. He was the coach there. He left it in a mess. There was all kind of scandals. And the thing about Harbaugh is he's kind of woke. In fact, the NFL was on display today with their wokeness. I mean, it's just so weird. We'll look at the chart of the moment, but it's like the secular humanism of the NFL is what's the word I'm looking for? It's just totally just trite. It's trite. It's superficial and trite. Like it's trying to be something, and all the coaches and their coordinators are wearing their hoodies with the Unite and whatever. What is the NFL slogan right now? NFL slogan. I was going to take a photo of this for Sunday, the 14th. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Right here. I'll show you. This is what was going on today in the NFL. So they have approved social justice messages. Everybody was getting bombarded with this. Choose love, end racism. It takes all of us. Stop hate, inspire change. So it was, I believe it takes all of us or inspire change. What was it for today? It was the NFL will end racism. It takes all of us. I guess this was from they had them in all, like this was the Cowboys. It is just completely trite. Continue end zone social justice. It's not just end zone social justice slogans. They put them on the coaches' hoodies, and it's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is what Pluto and Aquarius hath wrought. It is the homilies of the secular humanist church, the new church of secular humanism. And do you think that really inspires people? Do you think they look and go, oh yeah, I've got to stop. I've got to stop my racism. I have to inspire. What does it mean to fucking inspire change anyway? Inspire change. Change to what? Change. What are we changing towards? Are we changing towards some kind of emotionless and non-critical being? I mean, what are we changing towards? I don't understand it. Inspire change. Like what? Brush your teeth every day? That kind of change? I mean, for some people, that would be a real inspiration. It might be a welcome change for people in their lives. But it's just so broad, and it's like somebody send a memo to fucking the NFL headquarters. Send a memo to Roger Goodell and tell him that 2020 is over. 2020 has ended. Pluto, this is the thing with Pluto and Aquarius. The right group resonance with individuals who are not herded together by groupthink will resonate. They will. The wrong group message that is chosen to herd people together will not resonate. It will be flat as a 2D sign. And that's where we are with Pluto and Aquarius. There's more to it than that, by the way. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that. But that's one of the things. It's like, it's not getting to anybody. It's just this vacuous virtue signal. And in Sagittarius, there's even less patience for it. So getting back to our guy Sharon, he was ready for it, right? Like those squares, that Sun square to Pluto, 7 degrees. That Mercury square to Pluto, secrets getting out. You have Venus squaring the moon. The moon is the planet that really triggers scandal. And here we have it going through his 5th house, at least in this chart down here. I mean, this thing could have started on Monday. What day is that? The 11th. Today is 14th. So 13th, Saturday, 12th, Thursday. Maybe Wednesday night. Maybe Wednesday night. Let me do this. Yeah, I think Wednesday night. So if it was Wednesday night, the moon would have been down here in Leo. And okay, now you've got me. Now I have to get the exact day. All right. Let me just look at this. Curiosity. All right, I just got to get the details. Let's just see this. Okay. Sharon Banfield Moore. Banfield, that's an impressive middle name. Okay. Firing. All right. So it was on the 10th. On the 10th, incredible evidence that Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Okay. That happens all the time. If you're winning, the university does not fucking care. So it was on the 10th that he was fired. So if we go back to, I'll show you this. Everything was probably brewing on the 9th. So let's look at the 9th. Because if he got fired on the 10th, it's about 24 hours after this thing happens. And let me just see if yep, there it is. All right, so it's always the moon. When you get into scandal, it is the moon. So let's put up the Wednesday night chart. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This was the night before he gets fired. So this is going to be on the 9th. And we'll do a screen share here. And there's the moon. Right there, we got the moon opposing the sun. Right. And again, we're taking, pardon my vernacular here, pun not intended. We're taking a stab at his rising sign and rectification. And then where's the moon? Right around 12, a square Pluto. So a moon-Pluto square, perfect storm. Pluto's moon opposing the sun. We know he's got the Sun-Mercury-Pluto square. So the moon is kicking in. We got Mercury right there on the moon. Right. And it's opposing current. Look, he's got Black Moon Lilith. He's got his Black Moon Lilith conjunct Algol. Wow. Wow. And what does he want to do? He wants to cut his throat and kill himself. Black Moon Lilith in Taurus conjunct Algol. Yep. And Pluto, of course, still conjunct his midheaven in Vesta. Pluto down here. 2 degrees. Yeah. So that's a conjunction with his midheaven. That is a tight conjunction. Puts it right there. Man is crashing out. I mean, if he's look, it's going to conjunct Vesta anyway. So his long-term plans and long-term investment is in ashes. You know, I don't know. I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I kind of feel sorry for him because there are college coaches that fuck around all the time and they don't get caught. They don't get fired. And this guy got caught and fired, and Michigan wasted no time. He must have just completely fucking melted down and lost his shit. They wasted no time. They didn't say, well, we're going to do an inquiry. We're going to make sure that, we hear all sides of the story. They didn't do any of that. They're like, no way, you're gone. We're done. And here's the thing, right? If they wanted to get rid of him, these guys have these buyout clauses in their contracts, and they're really, really pricey. Like if they just wanted to fire Sharon Moore after 1 year, they probably would have had to pay him somewhere between $15 to $25 million in a buyout clause. This is not uncommon with college coaches. It helps keep them employed. But if they fire him with due cause, he's not due any of that money. That contract is null and void. So I don't know what this guy's going to do. I actually did a show on a guy who went through something very, very similar. God, that was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy show. And it was over on 15 Minutes of Flame. And once these guys, and I did like 3 days worth of looking into this guy's life because of what happened with this woman. She was the mother of the guy who married Cassie, who was Diddy's #1 girl. He married her, and it was his mother that got embroiled in this bizarre sex scandal, which should never have happened. That she, I have to watch my words here. Let's just say that all the facts did not line up. And this guy who was a linebackers coach at the University of Colorado and from Michigan, what's really weird is that he has a connection with Sharon Moore with, I believe, Central Michigan University. I think he might be a little bit older than Sharon Moore. It's the same school. And I wonder if they coached there at the same time. Anyway, this guy got railroaded, and this was back in COVID 2020. He hasn't coached since then. Now, in this case, like there had to be a trial, and they had to have all these things that were going to have to happen before they could come to. And he was put on leave by the university. University kind of. It was crazy. It was nuts. It was really, really nuts. And I actually talked to him, and I talked to his wife afterwards, after I did the show. And she told me there was more to the story, and I'd love to follow up on it again someday. And I'm just telling you, this is a guy who wasn't even guilty of the things that he was accused of, and he hasn't worked in 5 years. Sharon Moore is guilty in the eyes of the public because he got arrested, he was detained, he got fired immediately. I'd be very surprised if this guy ever coaches football again. Maybe Jim Harbaugh will hurt him. So anyway, you asked, there you go. there's some Sharon Moore content for you. The crash out, the big crash out. Okay. Why don't we get into this Candace Erika thing? Let's get into this. I wanted to talk about them, and I wanted to talk about Israel and the United States, and I wanted to look at the sort of the chart of the moment. So we have some ground to cover. Anyway, thank you for being here. You know, one of the things that I need to do before we go any further is I need to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. And let me just cut my mic for a second. All right. So I'll put the link for Silver-Botanicals in the description of the show. I think it might be there. I think it's there. I think it's inside here. Anyway, we're at week 2 from the Gifts of the Magi bundle, and you people have been incredibly responsive. After Dean and Ray came back from their little road trip, they were like, "Wow, we got a lot of orders," and for good reason. This stuff is amazing. It is some of the highest quality personal products that you can have in your home that are powered by the highest quality nano silver these guys get their hands on, using all organic, or as much as they can, organic, natural, essential oils from the world over. We did a live remote from their place a couple of weeks ago. Super nice dudes. They showed us the facility. They showed us the oils. They showed us where they make. 2 people are the bulwark behind Silver-Botanicals in San Marcos, Texas. And what we have here is we've the Magi bundle with the Gift of the Magi spray right at the center. It's your own personal spray made with medicinals, herbs, right from the Holy Land, like the essential oils of the Holy Land, the ones that they mention in the Bible: frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood. They're all in there. Monoatomic gold. It's all in there. It's a great personal spray. You get the Silver Tongue Oral Care, which I love, absolutely love. You get the Silver Mist for your nebulizers and your humidifiers. You get the Silver Shield action, right? You got that, the old Silver Shield deodorant right there. This is the sanitizer, right? The deodorant's over here. You have the sea serum for your skin, which is fantastic. You have the bed and bath. You get 8 products, $79.94. It's a $20 discount, plus you get free shipping. And you still have enough time to get this for you or somebody you care about, or the 2 of you. So there you go. Support our guys over at Silver-Botanicals, Dean and Ray. And as you do that, you support the show. And when you type in Astro Weather, you'll get 10% off for any of their regular items. So if you just wanted to get 3 bottles of the Gift of the Magi, spread those around and use those as stocking stuffers, type in Astro Weather. You'll get 10% off of those. All right, there you go. Silver-Botanicals. All right, let's get into the cat fight of the century. Erika and Candace. Now, I tried to rectify their charts. And let's start with Candace. This is what I came up with Candace. Some of this is just intuitive, and some of this is some numbers, and some of this is just me trying to look at it astrologically. Here we go. All right, so that's Candace Owens. I've got her rectified as Aquarius rising. She strikes me a bit as an Aquarius rising. And then one of the reasons why this kind of works out a little bit is because she married somebody who is what? Who has a title, right? That's the seventh house. That's Leo. That's royalty. So it's not like he's descended from a bloodline. I believe his grandfather, great grandfather, purchased the title, but nonetheless, I think he has what is it? Those little initials after his name. So with the moon in the first house, you're going to have the moon affect women in two places, the 10th house and the first house. And I played with Candace having a 10th house moon in Aquarius, which is very kind of scandal driven. You know, Candace has found this interesting sweet spot between gossip and conspiracy theory. And I do believe she's the new Oprah Winfrey, which also kind of lended me to give her this Aquarius rising. Almost had her as a Gemini rising, almost. But she has a bunch of kids, right? I think she has 4 of them. So I put Jupiter in her 4th house, which is the home and mother. And and it's the number 4. See, I told you I was playing with some stuff. So I actually have her as a 3rd house sun, which makes sense because she talks. She talks a lot for a living, and she talks fast, doesn't she? Now that's going to be Mercury, right? And Mercury is weird in her chart. She's got a conjunction with Jupiter. It's a wide conjunction. And she has a trine with Mercury with, where is it? Oh, it's a biquintile with Uranus right there, 144 degrees. So she's gifted. Like, she is orally gifted. It's kind of a gift. You know, that's the nature of biquintiles and quintiles. And she's got the biquintile with Mercury and Uranus. And I think that's about, and she's got a biquintile with Jupiter and Saturn. The Mercury-Uranus one interests me for sure because she has a gift. And her Mercury's at 29. Taurus, it's a few degrees off of Algol. And she's had a number of people try to quote-unquote silence her. Am I right? I think Pluto in the 9th house works for her. Because she married somebody overseas or from overseas. She's changed her religion, right? Which is a very Pluto 9th house thing to do. She's changed her religion, and she's a Catholic now. And I believe the Pluto in the 9th gives her some vision, right? She's entangled with also the Macrons who are in France. That's very 9th housey. And I think she has a studio in her home. And that's where she does her show. And that's Mercury down in the 4th house, which I also think works here, right? Just in terms of the overall chart and the rectification. So, you know, somewhere between Capricorn and maybe Pisces rising, I think you could probably make a case for her. And I just went with Aquarius rising. She's got her true node in Pisces, which is interesting, right? Because I would say in some ways she's not really living her true node. I mean, by changing her religion, she is. But the South Node in Virgo is all about details. And sometimes it's tawdry details. The true node in Pisces is much more, I don't know, compassionate, empathic, universal, you know, unconditional. I don't think that's her path right now. She's more tangled up in the details of the South Node, if you ask me. I don't think there's anything quite wrong with that. But one could make a case that she's not living her true node. I don't know. I'd have to look at the Sabian symbol for that. And then as a result of this, Neptune and Saturn in the 12th house. And for some reason, Saturn in the 12th house fits for her. Like, she just doesn't really fit in, never really fit in. You know, she's too white to be black, too black to be white. She's, you know, too right to be left, Now she's too left to be right. I just feel like that's all very Saturnian in the 12th house. So this is what I came up with rectified for Candace Owens. All right. Now we've done Erika Kirk before, and I went back to her her rectified chart. And yeah, give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So this was the rectified chart that I think I had come up with Erika Kirk. Pisces rising. She's got those Pisces rising eyes, doesn't she? They're watery all the time. I remember when I first saw her, I said, we are looking at Tammy Faye Baker 2.0. And this was months ago, right? And again, people like, Robert, why are you so hard on this person? You shouldn't be hard on this person. They're grieving. It never really seemed like she was doing all that much grieving to me. I just, sorry, not sorry. There was something too weird about that memorial. It was more like a Trump rally than a memorial. I didn't see that. Everybody says, well, everybody grieves differently. Anyway, I got the Tammy Faye Baker vibes on her, and now it's a meme. But again, we have Mars in the first house in Aries, which is violence. Uranus in the 10th, which is, again, very similar to, hey, guess what? Your husband, Mars square Uranus, is gone. And now you're the CEO, TP USA. You are the running the show, right? And also put Saturn in her 10th house. So I kind of like this rectified chart. I think I would put betting money on this rectified chart. Now, when you put their charts together, we're talking about oppositions, right? And Linda Goodman, I think, had some of the best insight into basic astrological types. And Linda Goodman said that oppositions in the opposite sex are okay. Like opposites attract. If you're a Scorpio, you might really want that earthy body of the Taurus, right? So you can make mud together. Or if you're a Cancer, right, you might want that worldly and able Capricorn to be in your life, to go out and live the 9-to-5 dream while you stay home and make soup and bake bread with ancient grains, right? I mean, this is how this stuff kind of works. However, in the same sex, rivalry is not good. Right? Oh, by the way, interesting factoid. Candace Owens shares her birthday with a very famous person who does something very similar in his own way and has been for a while, and that is David Icke. Candace Owens and David Icke share the same birthday. I thought, wow, that's kind of kooky weird, don't you think? Oh, what would happen if Candace Owens and David Icke got together in the same room? You think they'd vibe? I bet you they'd vibe. Anyway, so you got some opposition action here. And the opposition is really like, it's not quite sun, because Erika Kirk, who is a Scorpio, she's born on the 20th of November, right at the edge. You're 28 November. Candace Owens, born at the beginning of her sign, right, 2 degrees Taurus. So yeah, Scorpio and Taurus, they are in opposition. They are opposites, but not classically opposite. Now, that doesn't mean that some of these planets don't get into opposition because Candace has a Sun Pluto opposition in her chart. Yeah. Candace Owens better be careful. I'm just saying. She better be careful. She's got Pluto squaring her sun right now. Right? Her sun, what degree is her sun at? I have to go back and look. 8 Taurus, not 2 Taurus, 8 Taurus. Candace better be careful. When that sun gets up around 5 degrees, squaring her sun, opposing her natal Pluto, this may be a rapid end to the Candace Owens show. We're talking next year and the year out. So Candace, who's been making enemies, I don't know what you do. You can't unmake the enemies unless you pull a Kanye and, I don't know, put on a shawl and go visit the grave of Rabbi Schneerson. I mean, short of that, I don't think she, can reverse track here. But so she's got this Sun-Pluto opposition. She flirts with danger. This is the nature of a Sun-Pluto opposition, flirting with danger. Erika Kirk's Pluto's right on the other side because they're both millennials. And then right here, now this is interesting because her Mercury, this is Candace's Mercury, she's looking up Erika Kirk's finances. That's Jupiter right there. And Erika Kirk has Jupiter in Gemini. It's retrograding, right? So her fortune, theoretically, comes from multiple places, multiple platforms. So Turning Point USA is a nonprofit, but it's also a corporation, right? That's very Jupiter and Gemini. Candace is looking into this shit. I can tell you that right now, right? She is looking into everything that is going on with Erika Kirk, her finances, and TPUSA. Her and her little team there are cracking open that Jupiter. All the way on the other side, we got a Mercury opposition, right? Mercury, bada boom. And there is Erika Kirk's sun at 28 Scorpio. Her Mercury is at, 22 Scorpio. Candace's Mercury's at 29 Scorpio. So Taurus. So her sun, her Mercury, Candace's Mercury, is right in opposition with Erika Kirk's sun, like shouting at her from across the chart, right? Or shouting at her from across, the internets, right? This is oppositional energy. This is beef. And here's what's really weird, right? Candace has this Venus-Pluto opposition. Somebody told me she was married before. Is that right? Was she married to somebody before she married this English dude? Anyway, Candace has the Widowmaker opposition in her chart right here, right? Venus-Pluto opposition is the Widowmaker. Now, I'm wondering if Candace and this whole Widowmaker aspect, the Widowmaker is like when your husband dies. It's not uncommon for women who have Venus-Pluto oppositions to have that. Some men have it as well, by the way. Of course they have Venus-Pluto opposition. Some men have that aspect. So in this regard, this is a really interesting way of looking at this. Does Charlie Kirk fall into, even though he wasn't married to Candace Owens, in some ways they were spiritually yoked? Am I right? In some ways they were spiritually yoked. And here's this Venus-Pluto opposition. It's like, oh, isn't this interesting? There's something going on here, right? Like all of a sudden, the Widowmaker shows up in Candace's chart. And it's Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm not saying that Candace Owens had Charlie Kirk killed. Wouldn't that be the ultimate? I mean, if I was Erika Kirk and her people, I would say I would launch an investigation into Candace Owens killing Charlie Kirk. I swear to God, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. She's clearly killing Charlie Kirk's. So She's trying to preserve Charlie Kirk's legacy. Candace is. Am I right? Because her best friend loved the guy, doesn't want to see his life go down, she wants to honor his life and his death. However, ironically, by doing what she's doing, she's completely killing TPUSA. Like, there is something about Charlie Kirk and TP, whatever you think about the whole thing. You could, like, every time I see those kids that they have, you never see their fucking faces. They're always cradled like this. Or I mean, I'm not even sure if the kids are real. I'm being completely honest here. But if Charlie Kirk was part of the cultivation of TPUSA, the thing that he built, doesn't matter where the money came from. He had to go out there. He had to go to the college campuses. He had to debate, the marketplace of ideas. Charlie Kirk was TPUSA, right? And now, because of what Candace is doing, she is destroying TPUSA. Now, TPUSA has a lot of money, and a lot of it came on the heels of Charlie's death, and a lot of it came to Erika Kirk. So they have plenty of money, but she is not going to be a reasonable figurehead or person who could drive TPUSA. And TPUSA was created almost solely to get Donald Trump elected. They needed a group that could go into campuses around the country and begin to change the hearts and minds of young people to vote for Donald Trump. This is where Nick Fuentes' story comes into play. That's where he gets excited about mainstream politics because of Donald Trump. Now, he has a long-term beef, and he can't stand Candace Owens. Nick has some interesting issues with women. Let's put it that way. But I see what's going on here with her sun and her Venus in opposition with Pluto and Erika Kirk's Pluto. And Charlie Kirk was also a millennial. He's like, his Pluto's a little further away. He was younger than her. Charlie Kirk was almost a zennial. He was maybe about 4 or 5 years from being Gen Z, maybe 3 or 4 years. Anyway, she's in some ways playing the Black Widow with the legacy of TPUSA. Like, when it's all said and done, what is TPUSA going to be? I mean, think about it. And this is part of the millennial story. And just ask Tim Pool. Tim Pool, another millennial, right? And what does he say? That she is burning it to the ground. She wants to burn it all down. And I have said this is part of the millennial codec. Now, you can come through it and come through the other side and be reborn, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the burning down of something is kind of important, because when you come through the fire, you can face anything, you can do anything, you can build on your dreams. This is something that I think the millennials have been challenged to deal with. And it's sort of, the whole kind of woke DEI, stuff was really fluffed up during sort of this millennial Black Lives Matter fever, right? This fever dream. And it got fluffed up, and a particular group there's a lot of millennials, and they got really heavy into the virtue signal. All that stuff that the NFL uses now doesn't matter. It doesn't affect like Gen Z who's watching the games. I think it's fucking ridiculous. But the millennials, you go back to the summer of Floyd, the country was burning. And it was the millennials who were at the heart of that. And that's not to say that there weren't some boomers out there who were, in lockstep and whatever. Not all boomers are that way. I try not to make categorizations with people or groups, but the millennials want to burn shit down. And it's not always a bad thing. And they had their chance. They had their season of fire. And it was 2020. They got super officious with the mask. I can't tell you how many millennials would get on me for not wearing a mask. They were the front guard, right? But once they got through it, once they burned the mask, they became strong allies. Maybe the strongest allies. I'm serious. But I had to deal with them. And here we see Candace burning down TPUSA. This is what's happening. Are they going to let her do it? They don't have any real use for TPUSA anymore. If they needed to get Donald Trump elected, then TPUSA would be around. But he's done. Now, this is where it gets a little weird, okay? J.D. Vance. We have J.D. Vance's chart. We got a chart for J.D. Vance. Now, if J.D. Vance, and there are rumors that J.D. Vance has had something going on with Erika Kirk. There are rumors to this effect. And last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, it might have been last week, J.D. Vance and his wife, I believe her name is Usha, were seen in a Washington, D.C. restaurant having a visible argument. She's also been seen without her wedding ring in the last couple times. She's also aged tremendously over the last year. I mean, whoa, doesn't even look like the same person. Where have you heard that before? Now, if J.D. Vance wants to run for president, and I think he will, whether or not Trump makes it through 2022, 2026, and I have serious doubts whether he will. Is there a world with Erika Kirk and J.D. Vance? There could be. There could be a world with Erika Kirk and J.D. Vance. And if J.D. Vance was to throw his weight behind TPUSA, could that be saved? Could it be revived? Could they have it? I mean, we're really stretching it a bit here. But I can see here. Let me see if I can get his chart. I feel like I'm playing Rona Barrett tonight. Some of you who are old enough will remember who Rona Barrett is. If I have his chart, he's a chart that I should just have on hand because we know we got one for him. I got all these other charts. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me just, I can do it quickly. Okay. All right, here we go. We got a time and everything for Mr. Vance. Let's do this. Okay, so it's 8:11 a.m. And he was born on the 2nd of August, 1984. And Vice President Vance was born at 8:11 a.m. in Middletown, Butler County, Ohio. Middletown. I'd like to be born in Middletown. Butler County, Ohio. Let's see what we got here. Yep, there it is. Okay, let's do a quick little synastry chart here with him and Erika Kirk. This will be interesting. All right, let me see if this is it. All right, hold on. That's not the one I want. I got two right here. I think this is it. Yeah, okay. So here we go. I think there's a little something here. Okay, here we go, boys and girls. We got Mr. J.D. Vance on the outside. Hey, he's got Venus in the 12th house. That is a house where people have affairs. People who have Venus in the 12th house are known to have affairs or relation. I knew this one client. This a long time ago. It's really, really interesting. This goes back to Blog Talk days. And she was kind of a steady client for a while. And she lived in, she went to school in France, but she was from someplace like Slovenia or the Czech Republic or something like that. And she was young. I think she was around 2021 when I started doing this. Was back in the 2010s. And she had Venus in her 12th house. And I saw it. And then I was looking at, I think it might have been in Pisces or something. And I said, you have a boyfriend and you don't want your parents to see or know about your boyfriend. Is that true? I think it was Venus and Capricorn in the 12th house. And she said, yes. And I said, it's because he has some kind of something weird about his body, something different. And she said, yes. And it was like really mind blowing because it conformed both of the aspects that I was looking at, right? There was like Venus and Capricorn, the connection would be hidden from the father. It'd be in the 12th house. Anyway, it was like once I saw that show up in that reading, it was burned into my brain about Venus in the 12th house and having hidden relationships, like occulted relationships. So he's going to have that in general. But look at down here. Erika Kirk's Venus is conjunct his moon and his Pluto. There is a there, right? You get into Venus moon conjunctions, people feel very comfortable with each other, very comfortable. And you throw the Pluto aspect in there. You know, J.D. Vance, he's right at the end of Pluto and Libra. So he's definitely like end of Gen X. He's a Zennial with an X and not a Z. But yeah. Now they got moons that are opposite. Now these opposite moons can create chemistry, right? Like J.D. Vance has moon in Libra. He's always going to come across as kind of measured, right? That's going to be that's kind of how he rolls. Erika Kirk has moon in Aries, and she wants what she fucking wants, right? Like it is like on. It's fast. Give me what I want. It's instant gratification. Moon in Aries is passionate, right? So it's going to light up his moon in Libra. And remember, opposite signs in men and women tend to create attraction. Opposite signs in the same sex create repulsion or rivalry. So there's clearly an attraction here based on the lunar oppositions. Her sun is conjunct his Mars. He's got Mars in Scorpio. She's into this guy. I can tell you right now, astrologically, she is into him. Now, whether or not they can pull this thing off in good taste, I don't, it's like there's a lot of socio-religious barriers to cross if J.D. Vance were to legitimize his relationship with Erika Kirk. Something tells me it will be clandestine. It's just the way it is. It's the way it has to be. Now, if he doesn't run for president, he could step out and he could leave his wife. They could get divorced. He could hook up with Erika Kirk. He could take over something like TPUS. He could. He honestly could. Look, you think this is a lot like the Sharon Moore thing. Men in politics or men in positions of power, if you're a head coach at a, they call them Big Five, like the Big Five conferences. If you're a head coach at a Big Five school or you're the vice president of the United States, Henry Kissinger once said, power is the greatest aphrodisiac. And there is ample attraction here. But I think J.D. Vance wants that Venus in the 12th house. He wants that side piece. Is he going to be able to live with it? Is he going to be able to stay hidden? I don't know. Her Pluto squares his Venus. What kind of risk would J.D. Vance? Would he risk it all with Saturn conjunct her Pluto? Would he risk it all? I don't know. Because they're dealing with that born-again Christian religious world. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird, there's a lot of moral high ground that you have to take there. But I'll tell you something. If he were to somehow realign his life with Erika Kirk, which would be so weird, I could see the Christian world being accepting of it. And I'll tell you why. Because Erika Kirk is blonde, white, and Christian. I could see that being all of a sudden this super religious power couple. Because Usha is not white. She's not blonde. She's not even Christian. So would that be a hurdle for them? I don't think so. I think they would think that J.D. Vance would be getting an upgrade. I kid you not. Now, he would open himself up to an immense amount of criticism. And generally speaking, presidents who are having affairs, generally speaking, don't get elected. But now I think there's so much latitude. I mean, look what happened with Trump, time and time again. And the word in the street is he and Melania aren't even together and haven't been for the last, I think 2020 is when her contract ran out. She has 2 more years left on her contract. Anyway, do I think there's a there? Yes. Also, we know J.D. Vance's chart, birth time, legit. Her true node is in his 7th house. Right there. That's the house of relationship and partnership. His true node conjunct her Jupiter. I want more. Anyway, there you go. Let's get back to the beef chart. Are you guys enjoying this? Where's the beef chart? Let's see. That's not it. That's not it. That's Sharon Moore. Hold on. And I got to get back to the beef chart. Oh, there it is right here. Okay. Yeah. They got beef. And again, I think this whole Widowmaker thing, with Candace Owens, the Widowmaker. I mean, she's literally destroying Charlie Kirk's work by trying. And the people who have accused her of that are actually right. By the time she is done, TPUSA will have no donors, right? They'll be, I mean, their strategy for all this has been terrible, by the way. Absolutely terrible. And Erika Kirk having a sit down with Barry Weiss is not the best idea for a strategy. It's because Barry Weiss, if you don't know who Barry Weiss is, she's basically a dual citizen and has been put in charge of CBS News, which was recently purchased by Larry Ellison and his son. And it's her job to deflect criticism from Israel, deflect criticism from AIPAC, and deflect criticisms from dual citizens, and this whole idea of unaccounted and unchecked Jewish power. That is her main role from the news side of things. And so what she's doing here by having Erika Kirk on is somehow trying to subvert Candace Owens's overt message about what happened, and that along with all of this, Israel bad, Bibi Netanyahu bad, Zionism bad, USS Liberty bad. They'll use anything in their power to undermine Candace Owens. So now Erika Kirk becomes an ally. And these are the same people that theoretically Charlie Kirk wanted nothing to do with because they were pressuring him to reevaluate his stance on foreign affairs between the United States and Israel. And he was being bullied by a lot of their donors, according to emails that were disclosed, and he had had enough. So it's ironic that the same people who were pressuring Charlie Kirk to denounce all these other people, including Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk was bringing up, this whole thing about, well, what really happened on October 7th. We need to really look at this. A lot of this, he talked about this with Pat Bet-David. He talked to Ben Shapiro about the money that gets sent to Israel. And you should have seen Ben Shapiro's eyebrow. It was like fucking Mr. Spock. So it's the same people that Charlie Kirk started to question that are now circling the wagons around Erika Kirk to protect her and try to get her to prop up her story and just get poor mean old Candace just to leave them alone. Leave them alone. They're going to have to do better than that. Right? They're going to have to do better than that. They're going to have to do a full court press on Tyler Robinson. And they're going to have to open the books, and they're going to have to, and Erika Kirk is not the best person to be the CEO of TPUSA. They're going to need to move her aside. She cannot be the spokesperson for TPUSA. If I can put Ben Shapiro as the spokesperson of TPUSA. I'm serious. I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan. That's what I would do. Turn it over to him. Now, there are people inside of TPUSA who may not want that. Or if it's not Ben Shapiro, you've got to have somebody kind of like him, right? That's on the right, that can talk to the camera and tell lies and make them sound like truths. They'll need somebody like that. I don't know, maybe Jack Posobiec, although he wouldn't be really that good at that. Anyway, she's burning it down. Absolutely. Candace Owens is the Widowmaker, and they got beef, and it's in the oppositional axis right here. There you go. I guess we could throw Mars in there too. Right, we got Candace's Mars squaring off against Erika's Saturn and Uranus, and that's going to be volatile. they're not too, but they're not born too far apart. They're born about a year apart. So you're going to get some of that outer planet overlap, right? And yeah, I'm not sure how much more I have to say about this. I think I got my point across. Okay. So one of the things I was interested in is, and I haven't really done this before, and since we've been talking about Israel and Ben Shapiro and Turning Point USA, I thought it'd be interesting for us to look at the synastry chart between Israel and the United States. Because I hadn't done this before. So we're both discovering this at the same time. And when I first, I looked at it before the show, but I haven't really sunk my teeth into this. But man, there's a lot to unpack here. All right, so we have Israel, they're in the inner ring. Libra rising, trying to appear to be fair and diplomatic with the world. With that Libra rising, come on over. Come visit us. We'll take you to the wall. We'll take you to all these places. We'll show you a really good time. We're hospitable, fair people. Over here, their sun is in Taurus, and it's in Scorpio's house. You don't really know where these people are coming from. You don't. You can't see it. Right? At least with the United States, the sun is in the 7th house. We got a little ingress into the 8th, but it's in the 7th house of the U.S. chart. Yeah, we want to make treaties. We want to make contracts and compacts. But we're kind of occulted here too as well. Not as much as Israel, but let's face it, that sun is leaning into the 8th house. So yeah, we don't always live up to our agreements. And unfortunately, that's been part of the story of this country. Sometimes we do, but a lot of times we don't. We weren't going to abandon Afghanistan, were we? Look what happened. Anyway, there were some things that jumped out at me about this chart. The first thing that jumped out is the true node of the U.S. is conjunct Israel's moon in Leo. I'm like, wow, look at that. We are somehow linked to the destiny of that country with this chart of this country. We are. It's like a second home, right? Do you see what's going on there? Hello, home away from home. And all these planets, right? We look at the house here, Saturn, Pluto, the moon, and Vesta, all in the U.S. 8th house. Other people's money. Yeah. Hello. They got a pipeline right there. And I think there's a lot of hubris and pride on the U.S. side. There's some, I don't know. There's some status. I stand with Israel. There's some status. You know, putting that up. There's something about the true node and the moon there. It's like the river to the sea, and it's a status thing. That's all. That's the only thing I can come up with. Courageous status. There's something, fixed sign. We're there. But that 8th house, man, that is we got the claws in the 8th house. That's the 8th house. That's the U.S. 8th house. We'll flip this around in a second. But it's the destiny between the true node and the moon. And it's really Israel's moon that's trending towards the U.S. It's like it's a magnet, right? It's moving. It's like part of the moon. It is the dragon's head, right? And the dragon. This is where resources come through. It's what the dragon's head takes in, right? That's what it does. It's in the 8th house. It's money. The U.S. is a fucking tax machine. It is the dragon's head that swallows everybody else's dollars. That's what it is. And supposedly, right, it's supposed to go down onto the other side. You know, the fourth house, the US, the South Node, entitlements, Pluto, welfare, all the things that Lyndon Johnson, Great Society, Roosevelt, right? All the socialist benefits, which I'm taking part of, by the way, since I have Medicare, which I do pay for. It's not completely free. Supposed to go down here and take care of the tiled, the wet, the cold, and the huddled masses. But it doesn't always get there. Sometimes with that true node in the 8th house and that dragon's head collecting in all that bounty, sometimes there can be things in the way, like the moon and like Pluto. Yeah. You see how that works? These two countries are so interlocked and linked with this nodal connection and the anchors in the 8th house. Ooh, big, significant. Vesta and the vertex and the part of fortune. Hello. Talk about tapping in. Yeah, we're gonna figure out who we are through this vertex, right? This is their 10th house. Vesta's long-term. There's a long-term plan. Oh, there is a long-term plan between these two countries. And I think one of them is driving the long-term plan. There's Vesta. There's the part of fortune, 8th house. Oh, yeah. Fourth part of fortune. Now we're talking money, right? Now we're talking, again, other people's money, access to the 8th house. This is it right here. This is the nexus of these two charts. Let's go over here. We got a Venus-Venus conjunction. Hey, like two peas in a pod. Whatever you feel about Israel, however you feel about it, right? Venus, holding hands, coupled up. Venus, Jupiter. This Venus feels a lot bigger, a lot safer, and a lot more expansive around this Jupiter. It's like big brother, big energy. And then we have this Mars conjunction with Uranus. And that's, to me, you got Mars in the 9th house, the U.S. Mars. It's like, hey, yeah, we'll go fight some battles. We'll take our Mars overseas. We'll go to these countries like Iraq and Iran, Egypt and Yemen and Afghanistan. Yeah, we'll bring our Mars overseas. Yeah, and we'll do it at a moment's notice. We don't even have to declare war anymore, right? And then we got Mercury, Uranus here too. These countries are connected. And it's really that 8th house and the 7th house where these connections are rooted. The U.S. Saturn is over here in the 12th house. And this is kind of like, I think Israel has depended upon the U.S. as being Israel's rock, right? The rock of Saturn that will stay with them and stand with them. I think that there's some interesting cracks in that rock right now. Definitely interesting cracks in the rock. Pluto. Now the U.S. has Pluto in Aquarius. I'm sorry, Pluto in Capricorn. It's right there. But it's in the 4th house, which is Aquarius. Israel's South Node, which is, that's the U.S. South Node. Where's Israel's South Node? 1st house. Okay. What I'm trying to get at is that at 4 degrees, transiting Pluto, which is down here, right, in the U.S. fourth house is opposing the natal Pluto of Israel. So this is disruptive. The natal moon and then Pluto. This is disruptive. Having Pluto going through the U.S. fourth house is disruptive anyway. By the time it's all said and done, the socioeconomic fabric of this country will be completely different. We'll have a different kind of governance. We'll have a different kind of way that we'll be living amongst each other. It'll be radically different. And, we're talking 12 years from now. So, 2037, roughly? 2037, 2038, this is going to be a very different place. In a very, very different place. And that's just for the U.S. But there's something about this moon Pluto. There's scandal here. Remember I was telling you how scandal in the moon, especially in the 10th house, there's going to be a money scandal, sex scandal, right? Internet scandal, all three of them tied together. There's a ghost in the machine. There's a deus ex machina, right? Somebody's got a kill switch that is going to go. And it is going to set things in motion. And this relationship will never be the same again, ever. The U.S. getting close to coming through into its Uranus return, right? So Uranus in the U.S. chart is at 8 degrees. 8 degrees, yes, 8 degrees. So that'll be in 2027. The Uranus return of the United States will be huge. Huge. Also conjuncting the natal Mercury of Israel. So by that time, of course, the moon will fully be in swing and going back and forth and going back and forth and going back and forth and doing the sandpaper effect on Israel's moon way down here. So this relation is going to change. It is already changing. It is going to change. I have a feeling that the foreign policy, the foreign and domestic policy of this country is mostly being run by Israel at this point in time. That's my feeling. That they are dictating through Donald Trump and through people like Marco Rubio, people who have said yes to the program. They're now dictating foreign policy, and the foreign policy and the domestic policy is downstream from those people. And it is Israel that is guiding and directing that policy. For me, it just feels like 2-4 splenic projector territory. That's what I'm going on. And you can make a case with Pluto going through the U.S. fourth house and the beginning of that opposition that we will begin to see that. Like, for instance, wasn't Bibi Netanyahu in on the Department of Defense meetings to bomb Israel? I think they were. Is that? I don't know. I guess maybe if it's your partner, maybe you do stuff like that. But you also don't want to get it out. You don't want to leak it. I think that's kind of on the record, if I'm not mistaken. So of all the aspects here, it's the 8th house aspects, which is tied into money. Let's put it that way. And the 7th house aspects, which are tied into a sense of contract. But there's also this weird kind of ideological mirror going on with Venus. Like if you go back and look at what happened, the Zionists got a piece of paper from Lord Balfour, but they actually had to get the English to evacuate and leave, mandate Palestine. And so they had this bombing at the King David Hotel, which was against the English, but the way that I believe it was the Ergen gang who staged it, they were posing as Arab terrorists, which is very much like what happened with the Tea Party, where the Americans, was it Sam Adams, I think Paul Revere, like there were these Americans who dressed up like Native Americans and they threw the tea over. And who was it against? It was against the English. And the Israelis did the same thing by posing as the natives from that territory, the sort of reflection of the Native Americans who were the Semitic people. They posed as them and they blew up the King David Hotel. And they got the blame placed on, the quote unquote Arab people that were living there, who were at that time the Palestinians. It kind of mirrors the US, even like the defiance ultimately of the two countries with the English. Now, the English, in a weird way, would come back and try to help the Israelis with their war against Nasser, but that's a different story. So there's something there ideologically with these two Venuses where these countries are like twins and they're connected. Do you see that? That's right there. And of the two countries, I think Israel gets the bulk of the connection. Venus conjunct Jupiter, Venus Sun, true node conjunct Moon, Pluto conjunct the true node in the 8th house, other people's money, right? The big suck. They get the best of it. That's what I'm saying. Now, this would place the U.S. true node in the Israeli 10th house, which means that part of what we're going through, believe it or not, is tied to this country. And I've said that we're in a second American Revolution. And this is the American Revolution that we're in now. We are trying to throw off the chains and the shackles of globalism and Zionism, and to some extent, right, what has happened culturally with power. Like Roseanne Barr came back and barked at Nick Fuentes and said, "You're going to need us. You're going to be on your knees. You're going to be begging like yay for forgiveness," right? Like this is kind of what's floating around this sort of collective sphere right now. And it's, I feel like what's happening to the average American is they're finally waking up and saying, you know what? Our country's been hijacked. And as a result of this hijacking, and by the way, the hijacking is ideologically both on the right and the left, right? The left is the ideological hijacking of socialism and communism, Bolshevism, and the hijacking of the right is hardcore conservatism that's connected to Zionism and nationalism. And so we've been put in the vice grip of both of these. Both systems have ideologically hijacked this country. And people are waking up and like, we don't want either of those things. We just want our fucking country back. And whatever the influence is, right? We're just looking at this country, and because it seems to be in the news more than any other country. But yeah, that could be China. That could be, it's like Americans are fucking waking up. They're saying, we're saying enough of this bullshit, right? We're kind of over it. We're tired of it. That started to happen when Pluto was at 24 Capricorn, opposing the U.S. Mercury in Cancer, going beneath the surface in the 8th house. This country will always love a great conspiracy theory because of its Mercury in the 8th house. I guarantee you that. So this is what's on the menu here, right? And I think that this relationship is going to get trickier as the next couple of years go by. Pluto comes in and starts to swing around. They're already like, so TikTok was purchased by Larry Ellison and his son. They own it now. And they own it because they don't want hardcore footage of what's happening in Gaza on TikTok. TikTok became a window to the travesty and tragedy of Gaza. And a lot of what they would call anti-Semitic content was flowing through TikTok. And so between Barry Weiss at CBS and the same entity, the parent organization owning TikTok, they want to control the message. They want to control the flow of speech. And so what I saw today was really interesting. It was like TikTok rebranding itself. And it was a commercial during an NFL game. And it was a father. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, here it is. It's this TikTok dad. Check this out. So this is how TikTok is rebranding themselves. Let me play this for you. Let me see, where's it right here. So this is they're not going to tell you what not to say, okay? Although they will. They'll do that. They'll detune the algorithms. But their strategy here is to rebrand TikTok, and this is their new spokesman. Check it out.
Never changed a tire before? Don't panic. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. I just wanted to help people with everyday problems by sharing dad advice on TikTok. Start by making an X, throw the big fish over the rock, and then down. There are people out there that don't have a dad. Oh, you'd be so proud. I want them to be comfortable knowing there is somebody out there that cares. I'm not a dad to just my own kids, but to the millions of people out there that just need to hear, you've got this.
That is the new TikTok right there. That's the new TikTok. So it's not just detuning the algorithm and having hard bumpers in the lane for so-called free speech. It's also rebranding. Look, we're the kinder, gentler, nicer TikTok. We've got the universal dad. I saw that commercial at least 3 times today during one NFL game that I was watching, and they're playing them on multiple NFL games. They're spending a shit ton of money to rebrand TikTok. That's part of the strategy. It's not going to be this place where people are going to go fully black-pilled anymore. No, we're going to have dads. The dad you never had, you can go find him over on TikTok. He's there for you. It was kind of sad. There the guy's getting married. His mother's there. He's got no dad, but TikTok dad helped him with his tie. He helped him. And he helped those 2 girls, those 2 young women with their car. If it wasn't for TikTok dad, they'd be on the side of the road and they probably would have been, I don't know, abducted, sexually molested, and thrown into white slavery. If it wasn't for him, he saved their lives. This is what they're doing, right? It's just like rebranding Erika Kirk. We're going to rebrand Erika Kirk as the victim. She's a victim. Candace Owens is the mean girl. And it's the same entities that are doing the rebranding. I mean, they're different entities, but the same parent company. All right. Why don't we do this? Let's do a little chart of the moment, little now, and then we'll get on out of here. A little 2-hour show. 2 hours seems to be a good time, don't you think? Here we go. All right. So this is where we are right now. December 14th, I was at 7 p.m., San Antonio, Texas. Paying attention to the moon tomorrow. You got that moon in Scorpio. Ooh. Ooh. Wish I had a sound effect. Ooh. It's going to be balsamic too. That's a tough balsamic moon. Let me tell you. That's a tough balsamic moon because it's fixed. Balsamic fixed moons don't want to let go. Okay. It's an overused sentiment. Take the high road. Take the high road. That Scorpio moon and balsamic is just, it's waiting there for revenge. Just get revenge. I could do it. Nobody will ever know. Oh, somebody will know. You'll know. Your conscience will know. God will know. That Scorpio moon is coming in temptation. Temptation, vengeance. Will you act upon it? Or will you let it go? And once that moon moves into Sagittarius, the wisdom of not doing anything, the wisdom of like not feeding into temptation becomes apparent. Yea, we may be weak in the flesh, as Neptune squares our sun, and Neptune squares Venus, and Neptune squares Mars. There are all forms of temptation that surround us, whether it be food or drink, or perhaps thy neighbor's wife or husband. Yes, they abound. They abound, and they are bountiful in our presence. Do we have the strength of spirit to say no, to resist, to put a cap on that square, to be stronger, to be more vivified, to be more resolute in our faith? I'm halfway kidding here. This moon is coming in, and we got all this temptation here. We had it last night, let me tell you. Coming back from going to Fredericksburg, I started talking about ice cream sundaes and banana splits. And guess what we did? Yeah. We made a little side trip to HEB. And we got sugar-free ice cream, sugar-free whipped cream. The chocolate wasn't sugar-free, but we had ice cream sundaes. The chocolate hardened. It was weird. We weren't reading the label too well, but we gave in to temptation last night. That was a minor test. And it works both ways too, right? You may not even know it, right? You may be somebody who might have been the recipient of somebody else's scorn, and they said no. I don't think it works. Yes, the moon moves into Saturn. It moves into Neptune. It gets into that cozy trine, right? We got all these, mutable Sagittarian planets right now, which are filled with good cheer and goodwill. Don't fuck it up. Don't give in to temptation. It is a strength and test of spirit, character, and will. And you can actually go out of your way to help somebody. Now, don't go too far out of your way, because you don't want to expend that Mars-Neptune square. Mars is moving into Taurus. I'm sorry, Capricorn. So it's moving away, right? We got our Christmas tree lights. We got them up with Mars and Sagittarius. Moving into Capricorn now. Mars is all business. It's moving into business. And that early Scorpio moon coming in and trining that Mars Capricorn, I think if you have to invest it in your business, that is good. That is good. We like that. We like that sextile. You figure out what to invest, save money in, where to put your energy, right? Mars and Capricorn, put your head down and go. Love Mars and Capricorn. But this is Sagittarius' world, and we're just living in it right now. Enjoy it. Enjoy, especially tonight. Tonight we've got the moon sextiling Mars, sextiling the sun, sextiling Juno. Help yourself to another slice of pie. But after tomorrow, temptation starts with small things. And sometimes it manifests into regret. What else we got? I think the biggest change is going to be Mars. For you people that are up in cold and inclement weather, you're going to like Mars and Capricorn. It'll help you get through that shit. We got a grand cross in the air, Chiron, for now the moon, and Pluto. It's a bit of a leftover from the all those planets that were just lighting up Thursday's sky. Wow, what a beauty she was. Thursday's sky was something else. We almost have a full star with these in conjunctions. We need one more. You can kind of see it here, right? A lot of in conjunction. A lot of conjunction in conjunction. We got a yod here. We got a yod here. A yod here and a yod there. A yod everywhere. Yeah, we're getting ready for that Saturn-Neptune conjunction coming in February. I want to do a show on it. I've done a couple shows on it. I'm going to do another show on it. And Ra and I, good show on Friday. If you haven't checked out the show with Ra Castaldo and I, it's really good. I talked about this Saturn-Neptune and Vesta. Vesta's going to be around. Vesta is, Ceres. Ceres is the shepherd's hook. It is the shepherd's hook. The shepherd, of course, tends over the flock. That's Ceres, right? The flock and the crop. You want to tend over them. You want to make sure that they grow and they're safe. They're very similar metaphors. So it is the shepherd's frock, right? The hook. I think that's what they call it. That hooks us into the new age. And I think we'll spend some time next Sunday night talking about that. Get into some solstice energies. A good week ahead, especially if you got to deal with harsh weather. Mars and Capricorn is your friend. Survival driving. You'll get through it. You will get through it. It's a good time to have Mars and Capricorn. Cold weather. In the meantime, we still have Venus, Sun, Juno. It's a Sagittarian party. Don't stay too late. All right, that's it for tonight. We'll be back on Tuesday with the astro weather, and we'll have plenty to talk about. There was plenty to talk about tonight. So use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. I am Robert Phoenix. You are you. Take care of you. Treat each other well. New website, hopefully up Monday or Tuesday. And then we'll have a foolproof way of tracking all of your reading purchases since my process got broken. And I apologize for that. But we'll have it all hooked up and ready to go come Monday, Tuesday. So we'll have some specials during the week. Okay? All right. Take care. Love you all. Bye for now.